Hi, good afternoon, and welcome to the talk on modern languages at Leicester. The main person speaking today will be Dr. Emma Stanleyland, who's admissions tutor for modern languages, and she'll also be joined by Hamza, who's in his final year and is studying French and English. So Emma, over to you.
Okay, so sorry, I was just sharing my screen with everybody there. Right. So welcome all of you to today's talk. It's really nice to be able to be in touch with you in spite of not being able to meet physically on campus. So my name is Emma and I'm a teaching fellow in Spanish and Latin American Studies here at the University of Leicester in the Modern Languages Department. I'm also the admissions tutor for Modern Languages. Before I start, I also like to introduce myself at these events by saying that I am also a very proud graduate of the department. So I actually did my BA in French and Spanish and my master's and my PhD here at Leicester, and I've liked it so much that I've stuck around for quite a lot longer than intended initially. So I like to say this to our visitors because I would like for you to know that when I say that we do what we do very well, I'm speaking not just as a member of staff, but actually also as someone who's had personal experience of learning in this environment. So before I begin talking about the department specifically, a few points about Leicester as an institution. So you've got a few examples of our statistics and measures of success here. So we're a top 25 UK university, according to the Times Higher Education World University Rankings for 2021. Our students have a 94% employability rate. Leicester is also a fantastically multicultural city, which is great for modern languages students, and it's also the third most affordable city to live in, according to NatWest Student Living Index. 21st in the world for sustainability, which is fantastic. It's a really important aim for us all to be working towards at the moment. And we also have a top 20 students union. So before I begin talking about the work we do, the way we approach the work that we do in the department here, although I may be preaching to the converted, I think it's a good idea to always start off with a few ideas about why deciding to study modern languages at higher educational level is a good idea. Some of you may still be undecided about what you want to do at university. Some of you may, as I know I did and many of my students have encountered questions like, oh, what are you going to do with a degree in languages? Are you just going to learn how to speak French? And actually, a modern languages degree is so much more than that. So just to give you a few ideas for how to respond to that question, what are you going to do on your degree and what are you going to do with your degree? First and foremost, modern languages is an incredibly exciting subject to study. You get to explore other cultures, you get to meet and communicate with new people, you become aware of the world in its largest sense. And you learn all sorts of really important skills about how to communicate across boundaries and borders of all different kinds. And you get to travel loads while you do it as well. The other thing that we always like to make really clear for our applicants is that modern languages is an interdisciplinary subject area. So what that means is we don't just focus on one skill set or knowledge area. In fact, you work on linguistic skills, of course, those are incredibly important, but you also do all sorts of work in the cultural sphere. So you work on literature, you learn how to read films and visual arts, you learn about history, politics, you do social studies subjects, and so on and so on. So what you get is a really wide range of academic abilities and transferable skills. As a consequence of that, you also get to turn your talents as someone who is a linguist into a vocational skill. You've got practical abilities as a linguist, and everything you know how to do, you can do in more than one language, which of course is going to open doors for you in the future. So these things all feed into the fantastic employability that modern languages graduates have, and I will talk about this as we progress through the presentation today. You also get, through a modern languages degree, multiple opportunities to broaden your horizons and to gain really valuable life experience. So today we're going to talk to you about our unique summer schools, which are an important part of what our students experience at Leicester, and important in the ways in which they're enabled to develop their linguistic abilities and their cultural awareness and cultural fluency. And then, of course, our degrees include study and work abroad as a central part of their their structures. So all of this comes together to make the Modern Languages graduate a globalised individual who understands themselves as a global citizen, who is able to articulate themselves in very broad-reaching terms and to understand multiple layers about how the multiple layers through which our world works. And fundamentally, therefore, you are really prepared for employment in a globalized environment. Okay, so why study modern languages with us? So here's a few examples of evidence of our successes. So the National Student Survey began in 2005, and since then our results for the overarching question of student satisfaction have been consistently high, and we also have numerous successes in national league tables. So the 3-year average for modern languages graduates at Leicester being satisfied overall with their course is 93%. We're a top 10 department in the UK for modern languages, according to the University Guide 2021. That also places us top nationally in The Guardian for satisfaction with the course. And we have a satisfied with teaching score of 96.1 out of 100. And then on a more local level, in 2019, the excellent teaching work of the Modern Languages team was recognised at the university's Excellence Awards when we were named Teaching Team of the Year 2019, and we're incredibly proud of that. So the degrees that we offer, so we have 11 programmes in total to give you multiple different pathways through your studies, depending on what subjects you want to combine. So we have French, Italian and Spanish, joint honours, so you can do any of those combinations, French and Italian, French and Spanish, Italian and Spanish. And then we also have our joint degrees with English, so you can do French, Italian and Spanish with English. And then we have our programmes that allow you to combine 2 or 3 subjects. So our BA Modern Language Studies, which is all 3 languages studied to graduate level, French, Italian and Spanish. BA Modern Languages with Translation, where you combine 2 languages and translation studies, or you can do and translation, which is a 50-50 split between your chosen language and translation studies. Then we have our BA Modern Languages and International Relations, which is run in conjunction with the Politics Department in our college. Then we have BA Modern Languages with Management and BA Modern Languages with Film Studies as well. So all of those subjects dovetail really nicely with language studies, and they give you the opportunity to develop a wide range of skills and knowledge. So I'm going to talk to you a bit now about our approach to teaching and learning in the department. First and foremost, I want to highlight for you that our curriculum is incredibly diverse, and it provides pathways to both language proficiency, if I can say the word, and intercultural fluency. So we do focused work on both of those elements as part of our teaching and learning activities. And I'll explain in a bit more detail how we approach both of those subjects and skills areas in our work with our students. So we have a focus on linguistic accuracy and communication skills that allows you to start with us either as a beginner or as an advanced student of your chosen language. So you can start one language as a beginner student. We also have a wide range of cultural studies modules that enable you to explore various aspects of the cultures that are relevant to your target languages. And we have research-led teaching in all areas of the curriculum. So that means that the tutors that you work with are specialists who are actively engaged in not just teaching the fields that they work with you in relation to, but they are also actually involved in developing those fields of investigation and research and knowledge. And so you reap the benefits of the work that we are doing in that side of our careers. And then we also have an incredibly strong focus on establishing supported learning communities. This is a standout feature of Modern Languages at Leicester. We focus very much on student-staff collaboration. We see our endeavours as shared, and we like our students to be as clear as possible on the fact that your successes are the same as our successes. If we're doing well, so are you, and vice versa. So we are in this together, and that is really something that informs the atmosphere that's in the department, but also the way that we approach our teaching. You have high levels of contact time as well as a modern languages student at Leicester. So we have a focus on small group teaching and really good student staff ratios. That means you get high levels of interaction then with your tutors and your peers. And we also offer a series of unique learning opportunities. So I will tell you a bit more in a bit more detail later on about our fully funded summer school, which is offered to all of our first year students. And we also offer a year abroad that has global reach, and those opportunities contribute to your personal, academic and career skills development. So to look specifically at how we approach language teaching and learning, we focus on small groups in your language classes. So for written language classes, you have 15 to 20 students, and your speaking and listening classes are groups of 10. You get regular contact with native speakers, including staff and Erasmus students who we invite to become language assistants in our oral classes, oral and oral classes as well. So that gives you even more opportunity to be interacting with native speakers of your target languages throughout your studies. So you don't have to wait for the summer school or the year abroad for those opportunities. Your language tutors are tutors who are specialised in their fields of teaching French, Italian and Spanish, specifically as foreign languages. And we also have tutors who specialise in linguistics as well. And then to allow all kinds of learners to develop their skills and to shine in their work, we sustain a comprehensive range of assessment types. So those of you who have been on the new A-level programmes that are final exam only, that will not be the case when you begin your studies here with us. We have sustained coursework elements in all of our programmes, be it cultural studies, in all of our modules, sorry, so be it in cultural studies or in language classes. So you'll be tested on all 4 of your language skills through both coursework elements and final exams. So this means that throughout the semesters, you're able to get feedback and do practice assessments that enable you to focus on developing the areas in which you need to, in which your skills need more development, and then to continue underpinning the skills that you already have strengths in. So that's incredibly important. And then we also have a really wide range of extracurricular activities going on in the department to support you in your learning and to facilitate social interaction between our students, as well as opportunities for more learning. So we have language cafes in the target languages, we run film festivals, there are target language debate activities and so on, and these things are going on throughout the academic years. Then to turn to cultural studies teaching and learning. So as previously mentioned, this too is research-led, so it's informed by the research excellence in the department that runs across linguistic and cultural disciplines. So your tutors are researching and publishing, running conferences, giving presentations and so on in the fields of study that they then teach you about. So we have varied specialist modules that are related to significant areas of the cultures that are connected to your target languages. That includes literatures, film, the visual arts, but then also, as I mentioned earlier, it includes things like social and political movements, topics within gender studies, race and ethnicity, historical and contemporary topics. So you really get to explore the breadth and depth of your target language cultures. Sorry, my computer's having a moment. So again, for those classes, you have small group teaching, 15 to 20 students, and we have some lectures, but actually the vast majority of the work that we do in the department together is done in a seminar format. So you will not be in large rooms with the tutor at the front of the class giving you information. It will be much more a case of you being in smaller rooms with your tutor and your peers sat at a table, and we work to discuss the topics that we're studying together. So you are part of the conversation. You are part of generating the areas of investigation that we engage in on the modules in question. So this is one of the things that really makes what we do a standout experience, because we place you as the student at the centre of your own learning all the time. And again, in these modules, we have a comprehensive range of assessment types. So you will do individual and group work, including presentations, essays, clip analyses, research projects. And of course, many of those things we understand will be new tasks to you, but you will be supported in that work by your tutors and by your peers as well. So fundamentally, all of this gives you, sorry, my computer's gone a bit slow on me. What this gives you fundamentally is broad knowledge horizons and diverse skill sets. And we'll come back to the importance of those later. Okay, so in terms of how we support you then, beyond the classroom, we use a virtual learning environment called Blackboard, and each of our modules has a Blackboard site on which we house the materials that you need to be able to prepare your work for those classes. We use that also to communicate with you throughout the weeks, to let you know that materials are available, to give you information about what preparation you need to be doing for your seminars, and to communicate with you about the events that are going on outside, extracurricular events that are going on outside the classroom as well. And then we also have a dedicated study space that you have access to as a Modern Languages student, called the Modern Languages Study Centre, and that includes space for group work, it has computer provision, and also the kinds of resources that Modern Languages students need. So things like dictionaries, grammar support work, access to DVDs, books, and so on. And it's a really great space for our students. It's a central part of it's a central hub for the Modern Languages community at Leicester. It's a nice place to go between your lessons, go and you can take a coffee in there and sit and get your head together for your next class. And you also get to meet in that space, therefore, students from across the year groups, from modules that you might not be taking, who are doing different degrees than you, and so on. And it's another element of having that really strong sense of community. You'll also have a personal tutor who is your first port of call for academic and for personal support. So that person will be there to support you throughout your studies. We endeavour to keep the same tutor for you throughout the years that you're with us, as far as it is possible, taking into account things like research leaves or maternity leaves and things, of course. But that person has an important role in being there for you to communicate with, to check in, to tell us that things are going well, or that you might need some support. Sometimes life gets in the way of our studies, and we need somebody there to help us figure some things out, get in touch with the broader university support services that we need. And then all of this is housed, as I've already mentioned, in the Modern Languages community. We're a small, relatively speaking, in comparison to other departments, Modern Languages departments in the UK, we're a small department, we're a very friendly department. We have an open door policy, so we have office hours when our students know that we will be available for them to come and see us, but really our students are welcome to come and knock on our doors at any time, to drop us an email to ask for a chat or some extra information, whatever it might be that they need. We also have a student staff committee through which we work with our students to, again, report back on the things that are going well, or to discuss things that we think we might be able to improve on. So it's another way for you to have a voice in your education. We also run support sessions on academic skills and on well-being that have been so successful. In fact, we began those in Modern Languages, and they had such a positive impact on our students' experiences that those have now been rolled out across the University of Leicester. And then, of course, as I've mentioned, we also have a calendar of social events. So all of these things are going on beyond your time in the classroom to encourage you, to give you more opportunities for learning, and to help you establish a really strong sense of belonging here at Leicester. Okay, so unique opportunities. We are the only department in the UK that offers this for our students. So in the summer between your first and your second year, we provide a fully funded 2-week stay in a target language country. This is intended to give you an immersive experience in between your first and second years, because your first year of your degree doesn't count towards your final degree result. So it counts in enormous ways in terms of the skills that it allows you to develop. It's a foundation year for your degree. And it's important in terms of establishing community and all of those things as well, of course. But in terms of your actual grades, those grades are formative, and So you will get a record of them, but they don't actually feed into your final graduation result. That begins to happen in second year. So to have an immersive language experience between year 1 and year 2, when your grades start counting, is a really brilliant opportunity. We organise the travel and the accommodation with local host families, and we pay for that. The department pays for that for you. So all you have to cover is spending money for the time that you're out there. But in your host families, you actually also get meals provided as well. So you spend your days having intensive language classes that are set at the level that you're at that point in your studies. And for those, you'll be with some of your fellow modern languages students from Leicester, but you'll also meet international students from around the world who are studying the same language as you, which is brilliant because it means that the shared language that you have is the language that you're learning, and there's no better reason to try to improve your language skills than to be able to talk to other people. And then when you're not in the classroom, you'll have the opportunity to go on cultural activities and to participate in cultural activities and go on excursions to explore the local area. It's a huge amount of fun, and our students really enjoy this experience. Of course, it allows you to develop all kinds of important skills, linguistic, cultural fluency, a sense of autonomy, independence, and so on. And as a consequence, it's fantastic preparation also for the year abroad. It's like a little step into the year abroad and what that's going to be like. So the destinations for the summer schools are, for French, Montpellier in South France, for Italian, Massa Marittima in Tuscany, and Santiago de Compostela in Galicia for Spanish. So the top picture there is Santiago de Compostela, beautiful cathedral city with a fantastic university, lots of students there. And then the bottom left there, that is Montpellier, which is also incredibly beautiful. It's so well positioned that you can actually get the tram to the beach after your classes. And then on the right hand side there is Massa Marittima, which is a beautiful little town in Tuscany, and again really well located for visiting places like Florence, Pisa, going to the beach and so on. So really fantastic and exciting times have been spent there by our students over the years. Right, so the year abroad then, having mentioned the summer school is a great start, sort of a taster of what the year abroad will be like. So the year abroad is a core element of all of our programs, and you have 3 options for your year abroad. So you can do study abroad either for 1 semester or for the full year, depending on the languages that you're studying. You can do work abroad, again, semester or year long. And you can choose to be a British Council teaching assistant. Those are the only placements that have to be for 1 year, because the British Council runs them and doesn't currently offer a shorter period of assistantship. So if you're doing 2 languages, in general, the idea would be that you split your year abroad between your 2 languages. However, if there are personal reasons or pedagogical reasons why it might be good for you to look to do your year abroad in 1 place instead, that is something that you would discuss with your personal tutor and your language tutors, and we support our students to make the right choices for them. So just to talk you through the study abroad links that we currently have, in France, we have links with the universities of Paris, Bordeaux, Besançon, Le Mans, Lyon, Pau, and Avignon. And you can also go to Brussels, Louvain-la-Neuve, Liège, and Geneva for your year abroad, for your study abroad with French, as well as 3 universities in Quebec. So we've got links with Sherbrooke, Laval, and Trois-Rivières. French R is slightly rusty, I apologise. I spend most of my life rolling my R's these days. Okay, so then in Italy, you can go to the universities of Bologna, Padua, Pavia, Pisa, Salerno, Verona, and Chieti Pescara. That picture was actually taken by one of our students on her year abroad. And then in Spain, we have links with the universities of Barcelona, Granada, Salamanca, Santiago de Compostela, where the summer school is. So if you like it that much, you can go back and do your year abroad there. Sevilla, Valladolid, Valencia, and Zaragoza. And then we also have links for Spanish in Latin America. So we have a university in Mexico DF, in the capital city, and we have 2 university links in Puebla, in the city of Puebla, and then in Bogota in Colombia as well, which is the place that you can see in that photo there. Okay, so I'm going to hand over at this point to Hamza, who's going to talk to you about his year abroad experience, which he spent working for the British Council. Okay, I'll hand over to you then, Hamza.
Thank you very much, Emma. I'm so excited to be speaking about my year abroad. I think that every student that does it sort of can't get enough about speaking about it, because it's such a memorable experience. So as Emma said, I chose to do a British Council assistantship. And I chose to do this because it suited the aspirations I had for the future. At the time, I sort of had a twinge I might want to work in education, but I wasn't entirely sure. So I thought, this would be a great experience to get stuck in and just see how I might take to it. And that's really the beauty of the year abroad experience, I think, is you get to tailor it to your own aspirations and interests. So if we could have the next slide, please. Thank you. Yeah, so my year abroad destination was Le Havre. It's a quaint little seaside town in Normandy, and this really was my new home for the year. The school itself, it was a secondary school. All the staff and students were very excited to have me on board. I think the fact that you're younger appeals to the students, and it appeals to the staff as well, because they get the experience to speak to a native English speaker. Next slide, please. Thank you. So I cannot underestimate the value of the real life experience I got working in the school. Just being there gave me the confidence to say to myself, okay, this is a good choice for me, and it's something that I will pursue in the future. I very viably could pursue education in the future and become a teacher. But aside from the work, I got a lot of free time as well, and free time means a lot of extra opportunities. If we could skip a slide, and one more, please. Perfect. So one thing I did, which put me in a really good stead for my return to Leicester, was get a head start on my studies for next year. I also just took the opportunity to relax. You get the chance to just step away from the academic environment for a short moment and just reflect on the other interests that you may have. For me, this was traveling. And if we look on the next slide, you can see that I did lots and lots of traveling. Extra points to you if you can recognize any of the places in these photos. Of course, there was a lot more that I did that, for lack of space, I can't include here. But just for a few examples, in the bottom left, you've got Nice. In the bottom right photo, that beautiful Mediterranean Sea, somewhere in the south of France. I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly where it was, because it was sort of just, on the whim adventure. But as lovely as all this looks, it's not to say that the year abroad is a total walk in the park. It is a challenging experience, and it will test you, not only in terms of your skills, but your personal resilience as well. If we look on the next slide, please. Thank you. I faced challenges that I've never experienced before, from shopping in a French supermarket to navigating the Paris metro. But all of these challenges are new opportunities to learn. And, learning is exactly what I did out there. One particular challenge I wanted to speak about includes pizza. And this took place in my first week in France, and it was an evening I really fancied pizza for dinner. At the time, I didn't have a French phone number, so I couldn't order the pizza in. So I had to walk over to the local pizza shop and collect it. On the way back, I slipped and fell and scuffed up my hand pretty bad. Don't worry, the pizza was fine, but my hand, not so much. And not very smart of me. You know, I was feeling a bit timid. I didn't want to cause a fuss or anything, so I kept it to myself. And over the next few days, it got worse and worse, to the point where I said, okay, I need to just face it and tell someone and get some help for this. So I went to the school nurse, and, you know, she patched me up, she cleaned it up, and she told me what I had to do to take care of it. And the moral of that story, I think, for me, was that if I hadn't faced that challenging situation, I probably would never had the opportunity to overcome those barriers, and most importantly, to learn from it. You know, I learned that if you have a difficulty, then you need to face it, and, you know, that's something that will continue to serve me for the rest of my life. If we can move to the next slide, thank you. So in terms of what you can gain from the year abroad, what you can gain from the challenges that you might face, I mean, the rate of improvement in my language skills was just phenomenal. You know, in the context of total immersion, you really do surprise yourself in the way you learn. In a way, you sort of learn how a child does. You know, it's not in an academic environment, but it's all around you, and you know, it's a part of your daily life, and that really helps with just, you know, picking up new words, picking up new expressions, and things like that. If we look on employability on the next slide, thank you. I can say for certain that, you know, my experience working in a school will come in extremely useful for me in the future when I do apply for teaching positions. You know, the fact that I have spent time in a school and, you know, dealt with some of the issues and challenges that come, you know, inherently with that, that will be extremely attractive to employers in the future. But aside from that, there are a whole handful of other advantages from the year abroad. If we move to the next slide, thank you. There's so much more to be gained, you know, in the way of personal growth. It's not all about sort of the academic or the employability aspects. You know, truly, I became more of the person I want to be during my year abroad. And I gained, you know, a whole handful of skills, you know, interpersonal skills and social skills, to name a few, that will definitely continue to serve me for the rest of my life. So that said, when I try to reflect on my year abroad as a whole, I really can't underestimate the value that it's added, not only to my studies, but, you know, to my whole life. It's an experience that I can't recommend enough. And I think the University of Leicester is the perfect place to do that, because they facilitate you in many ways, and, you know, they support you every step of the way.
Brilliant. Thank you, Hamza, very much indeed. So Hamza's with us for the Q&A afterwards as well, so do talk to him more about his year abroad experience. Okay, so Hamza's just touched on the question of employability and how the year abroad feeds into the employability of modern languages graduates. A few other ways in which we support the development of employability skills includes the possibility of taking a CELTA certificate for teaching English as a foreign language in your final year. So that's an actual qualification that you take away on top of your degree. We also have a module called Languages in the Classroom, which is another opportunity for students to learn how to teach languages, target languages, not English in that instance. So it's a module that combines academic skill development with practical skills development as well, teaching theory and practice. We also have career development sessions that are embedded in our curriculum. So the Careers Development Service actually works with us on some of the sessions in our first year introduction modules to enable students to start thinking about the skills that they want to focus on as they progress throughout their studies. And there's an annual festival of careers on campus as well, where hundreds of employers come to campus for you to go and visit, talk to them, and explore career possibilities. And if you're interested, you can click on the link that's hyperlinked there for one of our graduate success stories. So in essence, what I want to highlight for you is that modern languages graduates are highly employable. They are flexible individuals with global knowledge horizons, with high levels of ability in critical thinking, with diverse transferable skills, And all of that is evidenced through international experience, which shows autonomy, maturity, problem-solving abilities, and gives you life experience. And that is a really attractive package for any employer. And as I said earlier, don't forget that everything you know how to do in at least one other language than English. So, doors will open. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up by just reminding you a few of the key takeaways from today's presentation about why we would love you to come and join us to study modern languages at Leicester. So first, that we offer diverse programs. We have 11 programs for you to choose from, all of which involve flexible pathways for you to choose to pursue your interests in the arenas that we work in across our language joint programs and our joints with other disciplines as well. We offer invaluable and unique international experiences in the form of our summer school and our year abroad options. And we are a small, friendly, dedicated and highly successful department. Please contact me directly at my email address, which is there on the screen for you, if you would like to talk to me in further detail about any elements of our programs. I'm always really glad to have a direct contact with our applicants and to help you get as much information as you need in order to make this very important decision. So as far as applying to us goes, the university has a really wonderful ethos at the heart of its recruitment strategies and at the heart of what we're looking for in our students. And a Leicester student is a student that has empathy and the ability to care for others, the ability to treat people with respect, the ability to thrive when taking on responsibility and leadership. As there are students who have resilience and the ability to manage uncertainty, and they have a desire to solve problems. And one of the things I really love about this university level ethos is that for me is a description of a modern languages student. So it's really fitting for us. And those ideas find their root in the origins of the university as an institution. So we were actually created on Armistice Day in 1918 when the first funds were donated to our university college. And we've been celebrating our centenary, which will culminate in 2021. 100 years after we admitted our very first students. So in honour of that, we have 100 new scholarships for you to investigate and apply for. So details are on that slide, and there's a web page, the scholarships web page, dedicated to information about those. Our entry requirements are AAB to ABB, but we will also this year be offering opportunities for interviews, which could result in you being made a lower offer to join us. So we will be in contact with any applicants with more information about that. Our BTEC, IB and Access to HE requirements are also listed there, but I will stop for now and give us some time to take questions from you. And thank you very much for joining us and for listening.
Hi, thanks Emma and thanks Hamza for that. So throughout the presentation, we've had some questions come in. So the first question is there a course or a module just with translation studies without doing social and political studies?
No, so we have our translation studies degree is split between language and cultural studies and translation studies. So there are modules on the translation side of the programme that focus on the field of translation studies and practical skills in translation and in interpreting. But alongside those, you will study your target language or target languages and cultural studies modules in relation to those. And that is because linguistic fluency is actually unattainable without cultural awareness. So cultural fluency and linguistic fluency speak to one another and they heighten one another. So even in the field of translation, which is ostensibly the practice of moving between languages, your ability to translate properly is actually enormously informed by your ability to know about the cultures that those texts are coming from.
Great, thank you, Emma. So the next question that we've had in is, do you accept Italian A-level from a native speaker?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Great. Another question, obviously we've gone through the entry requirements, but they're asking what are the entry requirements are.
Okay, so was this for A levels, do we know, or?
No, it just says
specific.
I'd like to know what are the entry requirements.
Okay, so well, the best place to look at those in detail, if you wanted to have a thorough look through, is to go to our web pages for the degrees that you're interested in, and they're listed on there. I'll assume that this is an A-level question, so the entry requirements are AAB to ABB. So we have a sliding scale of offers, and then, as I've mentioned, this year we're also going to be offering in modern languages the opportunity to have a one-on-one interview. And following that, we might be able to make you a lower offer. It will never result in your offer being increased, but we might be able to make you a lower offer on the basis of that conversation. So we'll be in touch about that that opportunity with our applicants with the applications that we get in.
Great, thank you, Emma. So the final question that we've had in is, can you study 3 languages, Italian and French, at advanced level and Spanish at beginner level with the translation module?
You can't do 3 languages with translation. You can do up to 2 languages with translation. So a 4-subject degree would be quite a big ask, considering that we're working with you to allow you to achieve high levels of ability in your chosen areas. However, if you were really keen on taking up beginner Spanish or any other of the languages that they offer, you could look at our Languages at Leicester programme, which is an extracurricular programme that's run in the department, and they teach language classes from 6 till 8 in the evenings, and there are also Wednesday afternoon classes and some Saturday classes, and there's about, I think there's 12 languages that you can choose from. So you could do Spanish, but you can do Japanese, you can do Korean, you can do some of the Scandinavian languages. So a lot of our students actually take these, they participate in these extracurricular courses. So they are paid for courses, but they are incredibly good value. They work out at something like £10 an hour for tuition with an expert and a trained foreign languages teacher. They're also a really great way to meet other people from the university and from the public, because they're open to the public as well. So Languages at Leicester is the thing to Google for that, as opposed to Modern Languages at Leicester, which is the department. So Languages at Leicester is the extracurricular programme. Yeah, so that's something I'd definitely recommend you to look at. But you can certainly do your 2 advanced languages with translation studies.
Thank you. So we've had another question come in saying, in our UCAS application, do we need to mention what module we want to do with the languages and actually what they want to study?
So in terms of you don't need to mention modules. Just trying to think if that's I think what you might be saying is, what the question might be asking is if you need to specify which degree you're applying for in your UCAS statement. So you don't need to do that. I think as an admissions tutor, it would be unreasonable for me to assume that I'm going to be reading an application that is going to multiple universities that's talking about one of the degrees we offer. So I don't think anybody would be looking for that. I certainly wouldn't be looking for that. What we're looking for in your personal statements is an expression of your interest in and appreciation for language learning, and potentially some sense of how you've gone about that, what your experiences are so far, what you'd like to do with those things in the future, why you think languages and culture are important things to be aware of in the world that we live in. I often try to encourage our applicants to think about, like, most linguists have a language story, by which I mean a moment where you encountered another language for the first time and you go, whoa, that's interesting, I'd like to be able to do that. And those always really stand out for me when I read personal statements. So just in case the question was geared at the UCAS application more broadly, you would on that need to specify which degree programme you want to apply for. just in case. That was, yeah.
Thank you. And then we've had another question in as well. It says, would I be able to study French if I am doing SL French in the IBDP?
I'm not sure what SL means. I don't know if we can get any help with that.
No. Perhaps the person who asked the question could perhaps pop something in the notes.
Or if you get my email address and write to me directly, I'd be more than happy also to have a chat on the phone if I can help clarify things. Could you just read it to me again, just see if I can get the other bits?
Sure. Would I be able to study French if I'm doing SL French in the IBDP?
Okay, well, just in case I'm interpreting where why this question might have come up for you correctly, perhaps it's that level isn't the equivalent to A level, but that would be fine because you can start as a beginner. So we don't have intermediate language levels, but we do have beginner classes that actually cover for a range of complete beginners and what we term false beginners, as in students who may have done GCSE, but then have had 2 years away from that language but want to pick it up again, or students who've had quite a lot of experience speaking that language, traveling abroad, that kind of thing. So in those classes, we cater for that range of ability. So if you haven't got an A level, you could still come in and do French from that point. So hopefully that answers the question. If it doesn't, get in touch with me and I will help.
Great, thanks, Emma. I think that draws the talk to conclusion. So thanks to Emma and Hamza, but also thank you to everybody else for joining us.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, Hamza, for your brilliant presentation. And I apologise for the amount of times I fluffed my words today. It's one of those days, but I hope the presentation was informative. And please, please, please get in touch directly if you need anything.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Bye, everyone.